He envisioned a world illuminated without wires, imagined machines that could think, and sought to provide free energy to all. Yet, he passed quietly. His contributions were underappreciated in his final years. This is the story of Nikola Tesla, the man who imagined the future and brought much of it to life. Our story begins with a storm, quite literally. Nikola Tesla was born on July 10, 1856, during a lightning storm in the small village of Smiljan, in modern-day Croatia. According to family legend, the midwife called it a bad omen, declaring the child would be a son of darkness, to which his mother replied, "No, a child of light." From the very start, Tesla's life seemed touched by something extraordinary. His childhood was shaped by boundless imagination and a deep curiosity for the unseen. After witnessing the passing of his older brother, young Nikola began experiencing vivid mental images and flashes of inspiration. These visions, instead of troubling him, became his creative spark. He could picture entire machines in his mind, test them, improve them, all without lifting a pencil, just mentally. This gift would shape everything he would later become. That gift, however, didn't come from nowhere. Tesla's mother, Juka Mandits, was inventive and resourceful. She crafted tools to simplify household work and passed on her memory and intuition to her son. His father, though a priest, recognized Nikola's thirst for knowledge. When Tesla survived a near-fatal illness in his youth, his father promised him the opportunity to study engineering, a promise that opened the path to greatness. Tesla enrolled at the Polytechnic Institute in Graz, Austria. There, he dazzled his professors by performing complex mathematics in his head and speaking multiple languages. Though his academic journey was not without struggles, but Tesla never stopped learning. He followed his curiosity from one city to another, eventually crossing the Atlantic in pursuit of the American dream. In 1884, Tesla arrived in New York with only a few coins in his pocket, but an entire universe of ideas in his mind. He began working for Thomas Edison, the most prominent inventor of the time, who is often credited with developing the first practical light bulb. Their collaboration started with mutual respect, but it quickly became clear that their visions for the future of electricity were on opposite ends of the spectrum. This brings us to one of the most defining battles in the history of technology, the War of the Currents. Edison backed direct current, DC, while Tesla championed alternating current, AC, a revolutionary system that could send electricity across vast distances with minimal loss. Unlike DC, which required power stations every few blocks, AC had the potential to power entire cities from a single source. Tesla's vision was not just technical, it was transformative. He saw AC not only as a solution to engineering challenges, but as a way to democratize access to electricity, making it available to everyone, rich or poor, urban or rural. His belief in empowering humanity through innovation made him more than just an inventor. It made him a visionary with a mission to electrify the world. Tesla's ideas found a powerful ally in industrialist George Westinghouse. Together, they proved the potential of AC by lighting up the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, a breathtaking demonstration that captivated over 27 million people. And soon after, they brought AC to Niagara Falls, building the world's first major hydroelectric power plant. It was a monumental success. Electricity, once a luxury, was now powering cities, and Tesla's vision was turning into reality. But while his ideas flourished, Tesla remained indifferent to wealth. When Westinghouse's company faced financial difficulty, Tesla tore up a contract worth millions in royalties. It was an act of loyalty and idealism, a reminder that his true goal was progress, not profit. Few in history have walked away from a fortune to protect a principle. Tesla was one of them. With this freedom, he plunged into what he believed was the next revolution: wireless energy. He invented the Tesla coil, a device that produced high-voltage, high-frequency electricity, and used it to demonstrate wireless lighting. Audiences were mesmerized. Electricity danced through the air, and Tesla's lab became a theater of scientific wonder. But this was only the beginning. Tesla envisioned something even bigger: a global wireless power system. He began building Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, funded by financier J.P. Morgan. The tower was meant to transmit both information and energy wirelessly across the globe. It was ambitious, it was daring, and it was years ahead of its time. Unfortunately, when Morgan realized Tesla's ultimate goal, to provide energy freely to all, he withdrew funding. For Morgan and many others entrenched in early capitalism, the idea of giving away power without the possibility of controlling or monetizing it was unacceptable. Tesla, however, saw it as a birthright of humanity. To him, energy was not a product, it was a universal utility. Without financial support, the project stalled. Wardenclyffe Tower, once a symbol of the future, stood unfinished, a majestic structure full of potential, yet silenced by financial caution and short-sightedness. Though Wardenclyffe never transmitted the energy Tesla dreamed of, it transmitted something else. His enduring belief in a world where knowledge, power, and progress belong to everyone. As he once wrote, "The desire that guides me in all I do is the desire to harness the forces of nature to the service of mankind." The dream outlasted the tower, and that dream would echo into generations that followed. While Tesla wrestled with funding issues, another chapter was unfolding. Guglielmo Marconi, an Italian inventor, sent a radio signal across the Atlantic in 1901, using components and methods that closely mirrored Tesla's earlier work. Tesla had already patented key concepts of wireless transmission. Yet, Marconi received the recognition. Tesla challenged the legitimacy of Marconi's claim, but the credit, and eventually the Nobel Prize, went to Marconi. The media, always hungry for simpler narratives, turned their attention elsewhere. Tesla's name began fading from the headlines, but not from his own mind. Even as the world grew distracted, Tesla remained focused. He didn't stop. In his later years, Tesla lived modestly in New York hotels. He found solace in nature, in solitude, and in the quiet company of pigeons. To many, this seemed eccentric, but to Tesla, these were moments of reflection, of unfiltered thought. One pigeon in particular, he said, brought him deep comfort and companionship. So much so, he claimed he loved her as a man loves a woman. This wasn't madness. It was the expression of a soul deeply attuned to life in all its forms. Still, in his 70s and 80s, Tesla gave interviews, still made bold claims. He spoke of wireless communication, renewable energy, directed energy weapons, and even technology to photograph human thought. Were these the ideas of a delusional man, or the insights of someone whose imagination always outran his era? History leans toward the latter. On January 7, 1943, Nikola Tesla passed away quietly in his sleep at the age of 86. He left behind no material fortune, but he left something far greater, an intellectual legacy that would shape science, energy, and innovation for generations to come. During the war, the US government temporarily seized his papers out of national security concerns. But after review, his documents were returned to his homeland. Today they are preserved and honored at the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, a monument to a mind that saw farther than most. And over time, the world began to catch up. The unit of magnetic flux density was named the Tesla. Engineers, scientists, inventors, futurists, all began to trace their inspirations back to this quiet genius. Even one of the world's most groundbreaking electric car companies chose his name, aligning with his dream of a cleaner, smarter world. The visions Tesla once shared from a modest hotel room, visions of clean energy, wireless power, and global connectivity, are now becoming the foundation of our future. Nikola Tesla lived not for money nor fame, but for the advancement of humanity. As he profoundly stated, "It is not in the shallow physical imitation of men that women will assert first their equality and later their superiority, but in the awakening of the intellect in women." His convictions stretched beyond science. They were about a better, more enlightened society. He believed knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. That invention should serve, not dominate, and that the purpose of science was to light the way, both literally and metaphorically. He may have died quietly, but the world he dreamed of, it's alive, pulsing through every wire, every signal, and every bold idea that dares to challenge the status quo. This is more than the story of an inventor. It's the legacy of a visionary who changed the world, even if the world took its time to notice.